Welcome to She Talks, a series where we talk to women who are independent, who are trailblazers, women who've seen success but also failures, women who are driven by purpose and passion. Uh, but there's one thing that's common between all of these women, is that they have stories that inspire. And these are the stories which have lessons which are very universal, and that's what we're interested in. Hi, my name is Richa Sinha, and I run a startup called She Wealth, a financial education platform for women, where through simple money courses, we try and make money and personal finance fun and easy to manage. We have a community of women wealth creators that acts as a group, as a cohort that encourages, grows, and creates wealth together. I have a very special guest with me today. And if I talk of the stereotypes that she breaks, there are just so many of them. Whether women in STEM, women in real estate, these are things these are not areas where we see too many women. But my guest today, Rashmi Narayanaswamy, is exactly that. And we can't wait to hear all the great things that she has to share today. Rashmi, thank you so much for coming today and for agreeing to share your story with us. I am so amazed just going through your profile and just learning about all the great things that you've been doing all this while. And the way you break stereotypes, I think that's just so inspiring already. So, whereas we are extremely interested in your startup, which is called Wire International, and we'll hear from her what Wire stands for. It's an acronym, and we'll get to see where she gets that, how this calling came to her, and what inspired her really to move into a field like this. So, Rashmi, welcome once again, and let's have your initial thoughts on this show.
Hi, Richa. Great day today. I'm glad to have known you. And you're doing some amazing work through She Well, She Talks. Congratulations and kudos to you on that. And thank you for having me here today.
Great. So, Rashmi, we're definitely very curious to know what Buyer International is, and how your entrepreneurial journey has been. But I also realize that entrepreneurship is not just the only thing that you've done. You're a qualified engineer. You also started your career as an engineer, and then you pivoted into teaching and education. Then you pivoted into entrepreneurship. So there have been many pivots in your life. Definitely, those are transitions that we're interested in. But before all of that, we'd like to get to know the person behind that entrepreneur. So take us back to your childhood. Tell us where you were growing up and how you were as a kid.
Okay, so I'm from Devanhalli, a suburbs town in northern Bangalore, a town which also hosts new Kempegowda International Airport of Bangalore. This is where I'm born, brought up, and did my schooling. My childhood was filled with a lot of love, curiosity, and also poverty. We were a joint family of 11 members. My parents and grandparents were farmers, and they were pushed to financial difficulties due to 3 decades of irrigation challenges. But love for us, me and my two younger brothers, was so immense that we felt secured and pampered in whatever little we had. Both my parents were bright students, but unfortunate situations led them to discontinue their studies. So it was their dream that their children should study well. My
Wow.
schooling was kind of confusing. Like, I had always been a topper in academics, and I was also good at sports and extracurriculars. Like, I was a district level badminton player, essay, debating, singing. I mean, you name it, I was like everywhere. So that also made me target of a bit of jealousy from my own classmates. So
I can
however,
imagine.
yeah. So, however, I was fortunate that, I had few friends and class teachers who helped me get through those days. Another great thing that helped me was books. I was an avid reader. My parents were too. So one day, my dad got me two books. Okay, I quickly finished them, and then I wanted more. So we couldn't afford to buy books then. I mean, no proper fee, money to pay fee only. So there was a library in our town. My dad was one of the founding members of the library, and he had three library cards. So he introduced me to librarian. I was in grade three then, and librarian, and he told me how to get books from there. Okay, then it began. In a month or so, I completed reading all children's sections ka books. Then, I started reading books on Ramayana, Mahabharata, scientists, comics, encyclopedias, you name it, whatever I could get my hands on. Okay, so then one day I saw these ladies going to a section where novels were kept. Back then, soap operas weren't much, right? So novels they used to read a lot, and I went and carried three books to the library, and he was like, "Why these books?" And I said, "No, it's for my mom." Okay, so, but I mean, he knew. The next time he confronted me with my dad, and they understood that I have begun reading those. Then I told them that I have completed all the children's books and science books, whatever you allowed me to read, but I want more. Okay, so then my dad introduced me to his friend's home library. That was kind of a treasure to me. So I mean, definitely, it's like reading constitutes major part of my childhood.
And it's so lovely because especially when you come from a very small town where your worldview is very limited,
Yeah,
but through books you get to see so much, experience so many things. It totally opens your your horizons to like absolutely an unseen world, and
yeah.
such an immense source of learning. I totally get that. uh, and it's such a delight to see children who read so much, because you can tell, when you see a small kid running around with a book, this kid, you know is different, is special, will do something great, in life moving forward. So great. So then, you're a bright student, you were good at sports, extracurriculars, uh, you were a voracious reader. Now what? What did you dream as a kid? What did you want to become when you grew up? Because that's a question we keep asking small children. Ki, what do you want to become when you grow up? What do you want to do? So what was a 10-year-old Rashmi dreaming of?
Okay, so one thing as like space science fascinated me a lot. Okay, so I wanted to become an astronaut for some time, and then I wanted to become a civil service officer. Later I thought, like, I would become an officer and I would create a lot of employment opportunities for like the village or town people and all such things. But bigger dream was to set up an empire. Yeah, that was always there.
How wonderful! How wonderful to see. I wonder, I wish if you could yourself go back in time and just, from a distance, see this little girl in a very small town, nobody knows. It's difficult to place a town on the map of India, perhaps, but huge dreams and, working towards it every single day. So, all right. Now, what did you so what did you think? How did you think you could grow up and become all of these things, from astronaut to a business woman? What was your plan? I mean, if you were dreaming, probably you would have thought of certain things which will get you there. So, did you think engineering was the way to get there? How did you become an engineer?
Okay, that's kind of not thought of situation, my interest was more towards physics and biology. Okay, more than engineering, medicine interested me. I wanted to pursue medicine as my career. But back then, it was very difficult. I think it was soon after my grade 12. Right, we wrote this Karnataka CET. That's an entrance exam in Karnataka. It was the same for medicine as well as engineering. Okay, I secured a free medical seat in a different town. Till then, I had not stepped out of my town. So I was so scared that, how would I go somewhere else and study? Instead, I chose engineering because we had nearby engineering colleges, and I thought, okay, I'll be home, I'll be near my parents. So, more of a safe option kind. It was not like, it was a well planned or well prepared career option
But
for
had
me.
you, how were holidays or summer vacations when you were a kid? Would you, not go out of your town to places to visit people or
All
just
my
see?
Yeah, all my relatives were all in villages. Okay,
Okay.
so we would go visit our maternal uncles and then paternal aunt, and such things. We went to villages a lot, but otherwise, again, I mean, that was the time when I got to read like a lot of books. So
Mm.
again, I would carry books
So
there
how,
also.
I'm very curious to see how is this girl who's reading so many books, and books are opening a very big world to you, but then you are in reality not stepping out. So were you not itching to move, step out and see where these things exist? The places you read about in books, or the people you read about. Were you curious to step out and see if these people really existed, or it never crossed your mind? You thought these are things which are only in books.
Oh, no, no. More than people, the places, different countries. And when I was reading about these, especially there is KP Purnachandra Tejaswi's, Kenneth Anderson and Jim Corbett's Manhunter stories. And then there were also SL Bhairappa and such other authors who inspired me. And I loved their novels or books a lot. KP Purnachandra Tejaswi was my favorite author all time. And, he also wrote a series on World War.
Okay.
Until then,
Can you
whatever I studied
can you maybe take names of a few books, because it'll be interesting for people to just look them up and buy and see if these people and these authors have inspired you so much. I would personally want to just pick up a book and read for myself. So any book titles that you could just mention here.
um, yeah, the Kenneth Anderson and Jim Corbett's books are those books are available in English, but
Mhm.
the World War series, which I'm speaking about, KP Purnachandra Tejaswi, it's in Kannada. It's called Mahayuddha. When
Okay.
you go to any bookstall and ask for Purnachandra Tejaswi's books, that series actually opens up not exactly from a government point of view or political point of view, instead from a layman or a citizen point of view. I mean, how impacted or how destroyed countries people were, and how they were treated or tortured, or from their point of view. So that
So,
actually
Rashmi, another thing, what was the medium of instruction in your school? Was it English or
English.
Acha,
It
it
was
was English.
English.
Okay, so you did have a host of books to read, because otherwise that also limits your access to books, because if you don't read English, then most books are in English, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the English books which I could get hold of was only in the library, the children's books,
Mm,
comics, and only those things.
okay.
But otherwise, I mean, my dad's friends' library and all, they had a
Mm,
lot of books in Kannada. So to
okay.
me, I wanted to read everything. So, that's how both Kannada or English I was comfortable reading and understanding them.
Yeah. So, all right. So then, for whatever reason, for comfort or for closeness to home, you chose an engineering college and you became an engineer, and
Yeah.
you also worked as an engineer for a few years. And then what happened? Why did you leave engineering and move into education? How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I would first like to say, like, one more thing, like the student life is golden life, they say, right? It was in my graduation act in during my degree. So I did my engineering from Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Technology, Bangalore, in electronics and communication. And I have formed some lasting friendships from there. Those people also became some of the early investors in my project.
Wow.
And yeah, I was a distinction holder, also very naughty, mischievous, often skipping classes and then leading groups. Okay, despite all of that, I was awarded the best outgoing student from the college. And later, I wanted to pursue my studies abroad. So I wrote GRE and TOEFL, though I achieved good grades there due to financial constraints again. And like, there was a reduction in scholarships that year. So I had to like, leave that idea of going abroad. And I went to Manipal University, where I pursued my MS in Embedded Systems. So
Okay.
Manipal academically was a life turner. Like, I learned multi-core processing systems and device drivers, which are like core deep subjects in engineering operating systems or like, computer hardware or software, any of those. So I loved those subjects, and there also I excelled as a top performer. And that, those days kind of nostalgic, I'm missing those days. It's really nostalgic. And in my second semester at Manipal, I was offered a job at VMware Software India Private Limited, that marked my entry into IT industry. But I eventually transitioned into academics for teaching, because teaching had been my long-term interest. And I joined as an assistant professor at B&M Institute of Technology, Bangalore.
And
And
what were you
I had,
teaching? What
sorry,
subjects were you teaching?
yeah, real-time operating systems and power electronics for engineering and MTech pupils, which I really enjoyed. Additionally, I began with career counseling to help students align their personalities and interests with suitable career paths. I still do this. I'm freelance career guidance specialist, and I have counseled 450 plus students pan India.
Is it through schools? I mean, are you on like the panel of multiple schools where you get to address the batch of let's say 10th and 12th high school
Correct.
students? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I freelance for a few companies like Lodestar, and also individual counseling I do as well. These are all one-on-one counseling for grade 10 to 12 students. So I do that. And coming to entrepreneurship, like, it
But
was
okay,
always.
let me interject you there. Rashmi, what do you think is the reason for you to be such an outgoing person, such a dreamer, such a doer? Because I would typically assume or expect somebody who's studied in a, let's say, a big city, big school, to be exposed to so many things, to even know that there are these many things that are possible to do in the world. But coming from a small town with limited resources, your parents were farmers, so it's not like they were academically in. They would have been able to help you so much. What was your? How were you driven? What was taking you from one thing to another? It just fails my imagination. So what was it that was really pushing you to do all of these unheard of things at that age?
One thing, given a chance, I wouldn't be the top performer in any class. See, my parents, as I told you, they wanted us to study and they wanted us to be the best in the class, kind, like always a top rank holder. I have seen happiness on my parents' faces whenever I said them, okay, first rank, every time. And that was the only reason I kept to that position. But if given a chance that, I wouldn't want to do that because I wanted to make more friends, like, and this competition, jealousy and all. I wanted to have more friends. I couldn't have it only because of this. And then what
Probably you
happened,
were spending all of your time studying and trying to excel at whatever you were picking up
that
because
pleasure was
yeah,
always.
you wanted to make your parents proud, and yeah, I understand that. Yeah. So maybe you traded off a little free time, a little play time. You traded off making friends for to get to where you were getting at. All right. Yeah. So it's important to realize that it's not like you can there are 10 things to do, and then you have to prioritize what is it that you want to spend most of your time and energy on. And yeah, and that will mean missing out on certain things, on birthday parties, on going out with friends, on maybe having a new dress for Diwali. So there are trade-offs, there are small little sacrifices which we don't realize, but yes, I mean, all of us must be aware of these things that we are doing. And oh, brilliant. I mean, I'm already so inspired with this little girl who's maybe still in her very early 20s with all the work that you've done. All right. Now tell me. So, you've been this person who started off as an engineer. You're now teaching people, you're counseling people on choosing careers. What happened now? What bug bit you and took you in this? You were also a very tech savvy person. You were in love with the technology, not just doing but also learning and teaching. Now, how did you move into real estate, and why did you move into real estate?
Okay. So, yeah. See, this entrepreneurship, starting up something, as I said, it was always there to build an empire and all. So why I picked real estate came later, but before that I have tried, like, multiple things in my engineering. I had tried to build a remote controlled fan on a breadboard. So today it's there everywhere, but back then it was still a new concept then. And also while I was working at VMware, when I left office in the evenings, late evenings, then I observed that, the whole building's lights were still lit up, though employees had already left.
Mm,
So, and to facilitate sensor-based automatic lighting, I was working on building a virtual switchboard that allows you to turn off your cubicle light when you leave your desk, or it automatically turns off if you're away from your desk for more than 30 minutes. Then also when I was working at engineering college as an assistant professor, I have guided Texas Instruments design challenge projects. I initiated college and department's first newsletter, and also proposed R&D unit for MTech students. On my maternity break, okay, I broke up my marital relation. Um, Through that journey of separation, the blackmail followed by fear of losing the custody of my child due to no savings. I had quit my job by then. So no savings, no job, and or any financial support actually led me to depression for 2 years. So it was the most difficult time in my life. And the recovery was very, very difficult.
and
But
what timeline is this? What year was this when you were going through this phase?
this was in 2015-16.
Okay, so about 7, 8 years back.
Yes.
Mm.
And but I had to stay up strong for myself and my kid. And so in this time, we are farmers, as I told, and I connect to land by roots. While others might see land or property as a commodity,
Mm.
it's an emotion for me. My passion for entrepreneurship, land in general, real estate, as well as these personal life events, actually led me to take a leap of faith into real estate industry. I started with a large scale residential project spanning 6 acres. indeed, it was a big project for a beginner. I raised funds through my friends and family. Today, I have developed a residential layout spanning 1 lakh square feet plus of saleable area.
Okay,
And
let me hold your thoughts there. Now, how did you think you would be able to do all of this? You were not an architect or an urban planner or any of this person. So this choice of domain was very interesting and very brave. And then you also went ahead and you delivered on your, you executed the project. How did you learn to do something that you had never studied or experienced in your life? Because till now, I don't see any real estate, construction, architecture, anything happening with you. So how did you think you can even do it? And and then, so of course, dreaming the unthinkable is one thing, but then how did you really get down to executing it? Did you build a team that would help you do it? Where did you learn?
so I met with my schoolmates once, during this recovery time, and then one of them was into real estate. I heard him talking about residential layouts development and all, and also when international airport the project came to my town, right? So a lot of development started happening. It could be in a form of residential layouts or apartments or buildings. So a lot of transactions were happening around me. Okay, so that triggered my interest, and I started speaking to a lot of elders who were, either selling their properties or trying to buy properties or trying to get it converted. And then I felt that I had this natural inclination towards land and property. I understood them very easily, more than my brothers. In fact, I
Mm.
understood land records very easily, and I tried to understand about our property documents. I learned about them and spoke to a couple of people who are in real estate, and I understood that see, by then I wasn't so aware that this will be a difficult one. But what happens, the situations, we are not born tough.
Mm.
What we go through makes us so tough that comes to a point wherein not trying itself will be seen as a failure. Like, you just take that step, take that leap, and
That is
then but
such an amazing that's such an amazing thing, you just said, because yeah, you're not born tough. It is how you keep reacting to situations and what's happening with you in life, and then the way you respond. And sometimes being strong is the only option you have. You don't, not trying is not an option. So, and I think when you are at that point in life, one just somehow finds that courage to do things. That is so great. And how old was your kid at this point?
he was 2 years old.
So with a small kid, you were trying out a new profession and you were learning. So, and I think, why you were able to do it. Perhaps I think you're a learner and a hustler. You've been that all your life. You've always been a seeker for knowledge and for learning new things. Whether it was as a as a grade 3 kid who was trying to read up all the books, because that just means that you're trying to absorb as much as you can, take in from wherever possible. And I think that instinct has stayed with you all through, and probably that is what gave you that courage that, okay, I can learn this, I can read up, or I can talk to people and I'll figure out. And then I'll do it. So that is so great, Rashmi. Amazing. Now, so what problem are you trying to solve with Wire International? And tell me, what does Wire stand for?
Okay. So let me tell you about the problem. So when I was developing this residential layout, I encountered a patriarchal sector, that initially dismissed or ignored me, and they often insisted on bringing a male family member, like my father or my brother, so that they could discuss, negotiate, or make deals with. And in this journey of 5 years in the industry, from working with landowners, property consultants, to navigating the revenue department and marketing teams, I faced a lot of lack of support, in fact. It became increasingly clear to me that Indian real estate sector is plagued with gender disparity, with a shortage of women property consultants, leaders, or educational resources. So, without significant changes, this trend is likely to persist. Wire International was born to transform this. Wire stands for Women in Real Estate, with the goal of promoting equality in opportunities, diversity in thoughts and ideas, and inclusivity in decision making. Wire International was born, and it began as an idea in June 2022, and with that I applied for India's Premier Management Institute, IIM Bangalore, NSRCEL's flagship program Launchpad, and I never looked back. I continued with their Women Startup program as well, their MOOC pre-incubation. And today, Wire International is incubated at IIMB for another 1 year's exciting journey. All in all, Wire International is an organized online marketplace for end-to-end residential real estate services by professional women realtors.
Okay.
And coming from a
So when you say an online marketplace, what are the services available on this?
Yes, so we provide property consultation, facilitate buying and selling, interior landscape and furniture designs, construction projects, as well as even building inspections and those things as well.
So the entire spectrum of thing, right from the point of somebody meaning to buy a house to designing it to all legal formalities, the entire spectrum is what you're looking at. Great.
Yes.
And so then do you also mean that you only have women as partners or vendors who are doing these things? Is that what the women in Wire means?
Yes. So majorly, today we have existing realtors teamed up with us. We have collaborations with all domain realtors and service providers. Also, we aim at bringing 1 million women into investing, consulting, and managing real estate in India through our educating and enablement initiatives. And we have a lot of plans this year.
So where do you find these women? Like today, what are these women doing? Where will you find these people and get them on board? What is your process?
Yeah, first thing, LinkedIn was a great source for me. In fact, I began searching, among my circles, there was no woman realtor to be, true. And then I began networking on LinkedIn. I tried to find women who are into real estate or designing architecture or construction field. And then I found very few, but then when I connected to them, I understood that, there definitely is there is a dearth, or there is a pure women participation in India is
absolutely, because if there's any one industry where there is so lack of representation in terms of gender, it is the real estate industry, because you just don't find women who are working in any capacity. So I think this is a very uphill task that you've set for yourself, but also something that I believe will be a game changer, uh, because you have like a first mover advantage here, where you're getting you're tapping into a resource pool that is untapped today, and you're trying to organize this in some form. So yeah, so the social impact of it is definitely immense. But what is the business behind it? How do you and ultimately you're an entrepreneur, so you want to make money at the end of the day, right? Now, do you think by only focusing on women as partners, you're limiting yourself? Because in an industry, especially like yours, you don't have so many women. Or that itself is the challenge that you're up against?
true. But See, we are not looking to go wide and large in a month or so. Okay, we will slowly build on that. And today in India, we are facing a major problem, like real estate or owning a property in India is not just an asset or investment point of view, right? But also as a social status symbol, emotional connection, a dream, a security, and accomplishment for many. See, many invest their lifetime savings in buying a property or building a home. Some go there way beyond to take hefty loans, paying EMIs their whole career. But who is representing this buyer or customer today? So every builder or developer or designer is interested in making sales, making money. So pushing their services onto customer. If you want proof, just try to enroll yourself, give your contact number on any of the property marketplaces
Oh
available
my
today,
God.
and you will see it, right? So Buyer International never does that. Okay. We assure our clients of peaceful transaction from identifying a property, doing due diligence, buying and purchasing property, or building it and designing your home to moving in. So end-to-end services, and we assure a peaceful transaction. So that's where our that's another advantage to us. We don't go behind customers, harassing them. In fact, that's actually is what is happening. We don't do that. So we are dealing with this professionally. Okay, and we are building a team. There definitely are women who would be interested to come here, and we are providing them a platform to enter Indian real estate sector. There are a lot of plans which are coming up this year. Yeah.
This is so exciting, considering you have such a huge potential that you can tap into, and such immense impact that you can create on systems. So definitely, congratulations on that. And so we will now move on to our next segment. Yeah. Okay, which will be a little fun segment, and we'll see how you fare there. You've inspired us, but now let's see how much fun we have with you. All right, Rashmi. So you've been an inspiration all through the things that you've done for yourself, and the way in which you have unknowingly been inspiring others is definitely something to be proud of. And of course, through your own venture, through your startup via international, you are trying to get in more and more women in an industry which has not seen enough gender representation. So that in itself is a great story. Now I'm very intrigued by one aspect of business, which is managing money. And rightly so, because I also run a startup called She Wealth, which promotes financial education for women in particular, and which is why I am also you know I always want to understand how women from different backgrounds doing different things at different life stages and ages, how is it that they build a relationship with money? And so we'll have a rapid fire around your relationship with money. Keep your answers crisp, and let's just try and understand you from a different perspective now. All right.
Yeah.
Great. So, Rashmi, tell me, what is one good money habit that you're proud of?
Mm, uh, Saving and investing. I mean, investing early.
Okay. And if I were to ask you roughly what percentage of your monthly income do you put aside for investing?
Okay, I don't have a steady income being an entrepreneur and a freelancer, but 25% of whatever I earn, I make sure that I save and invest it.
Which is a great proportion. All right.
Mhm.
What is a bad money habit that you want to get rid of?
Um, Spending on uh, clothes for my family, I actually splurge on that. So that is something I need to reduce.
So
Yeah.
are you an online shopper, or are you somebody who actually physically goes to stores?
Uh, hybrid kind, like, both. I mean, it's
Okay.
not never for myself, mostly. It's
Mm,
always for my family that I purchase and buy things.
okay. All right. Uh, do you manage? I mean, of course, you're an entrepreneur, so you're managing your business, but you also manage your personal money yourself, or you have somebody who helps you with that?
And no, I do it myself.
Okay. And how do you know what is the right place to invest in?
I read a lot.
Okay.
Okay, that's been evident, right? So,
Mm,
recently personal finance was more interesting to me. I also started my own blog, rushtalks.com, to write about my personal finance journey and also financial independence. So,
okay.
on that, yeah. So through reading.
Awesome. Awesome. What are your top two or three favorite financial products or financial instruments where you invest your money?
Oh, real estate tops the list. Then comes PPF, and then
Hmm.
gold as well. But like, you might be thinking I'm a risk averse person, but real estate manage and balances it. There's a lot of risk
Yeah.
in it.
But then
Yeah.
real estate, so my problem with my issue with real estate investment is that you always need such a huge amount to begin with. It's like if I'm just a regular salaried person, probably I will have maybe a lakh, 2 lakhs, or 5 lakhs of bonus, in a year. And I am not somebody who will be able to invest in real estate with just 5 lakhs. So, which is why real estate for me, personally, is just, the only piece of real estate that I own is the house that I live in, and nothing else. But I have heard so many stories of people who made tons and tons of money investing in real estate. But we also have real estate funds in which people can invest, and there you don't have to really physically buy a piece of land or property. So,
In fact,
but
you
also
can.
given your expertise in the domain area that you're operating in, I think you understand the space better than most people around. So for you it's a calculated, it's a good investment to make. All right. What is the costliest or the most expensive thing that you own?
Property.
Oh, well, okay, besides that, because that tops the list everywhere.
Yeah. Jewelry.
Okay, okay, all right. So you are a gold investor also, but then okay, gold in the form of jewelry. All right.
Yeah.
uh,
No, but today's me would not have invested into jewelry, but back then I did not know.
hmm.
Okay. Today's me would any day pick up gold bonds instead of physical jewelry.
Yeah, just so much more convenient, and
Yes.
um, yeah, makes sense. What has been your happiest expense? It could be a thing, or it could just be an experience in which you invested, but some expenditure that you made which has made you, which at that point made you very happy.
Yeah. Um, a solo trip to Dubai.
Okay, awesome. I have always wanted to do a solo trip, and somehow I've never done it because I end up just finding somebody to accompany me on these trips. But I think that is something on my bucket list to do, and I will pick up a place in Europe to do that.
Oh, wow, nice.
Because I
That's
think Europe is a very friendly country to just roam around on your own. You,
yes,
you don't
yes.
have to do activities because in places like any other place, I think, it's fun when you're going with a bunch of people or you have things to do. But Europe, you can just walk around, throughout the day and have, spend good time with yourself, just looking around. So yeah, that's
Yes.
my go to my bucket list thing to do. Okay, what is are you an impulsive spender, and what would you say is an expense that you regret having made? A
I'm
significant
frugal.
expense.
Yeah, I'm frugal. But one thing, what I regret is lending money to people. It could be
Hmm.
like, the accomplices, but without any collaterals or any surety, such things that I still regret, and I have lost a lot of money with that. So, a hard lesson learned.
Mm,
Everyone must be careful of that.
yeah, well, yes. Uh, okay. Tell me something. I give you two options. Pick one and tell me
Mhm.
why. So I can either double your wealth today. So
Mhm.
at your current age, I can double your wealth, or I can make you half your age with the wisdom that you have today. With all the wisdom and intelligence that you have today, I make you half your age. What will you pick up and why?
I would definitely choose the latter one. With this wisdom,
Mm,
half my age, I would make better decisions.
yeah, and more money.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me, Rashmi, what is your, of course, you grew up in a very humble background. Uh, so I would assume that money has always been something that you felt was important. But how much has money controlled your happiness?
Mhm. So yeah, growing up with poverty, hustling, and then taking bold decisions like choosing riskier entrepreneurship, this
Mm,
has taken a toll on this regard. And I believe that having money and or higher income gives you a lot of freedom to do what you want to do. It
mm,
gives you access to nicer neighborhoods, healthcare, education, good education, fulfilling work, and also more leisure time to do
yeah.
what you love to do. So for that reason, and the security and the peace it brings, definitely makes it worth recommending that money is important.
Yeah. So, today, how do you define success for your business? What are your goals for the next, let's say, a year or two,
Mhm.
near future? What are your business goals?
I still consider myself an aspiring entrepreneur only, still building it from ideation stage to bringing it to MVP or pre-revenue stage. But when someone asks me, what is success to me? It is when, someone somewhere listens to my story, reads my story, and gets inspired. So
Mm,
that is success to me.
yeah, yeah. We all dream of that day when people start googling us to find out what we're doing, and okay, eh, you're not being looked up only on Facebook or Instagram, but that people are googling you to find out.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah, that's why I
Okay,
want to.
Rashmi, tell me, this is a very random question, and it just came across. Uh, you are in the real estate
Mhm.
industry. Now, if you could have a celebrity to endorse your brand, who would you pick up and why?
Donald Trump.
Oh my
Trump.
God, awesome! I love that.
He's such a realtor. I mean, as a politician and all, keep it aside. I'm not I'm I'm not qualified enough to speak about politics and all, but
Mm.
speak about his business. As a business person, as a realtor, and definitely Trump.
That is such an interesting answer. Uh, okay, tell me something. You've been building your business for a while now. In different forms for the past so many years. You've been working on your own venture. If you
Mhm.
could go back in time and to the point where you were thinking of starting a business, yeah,
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
advice would you give yourself? Something that you know now but you did not know then, what would you tell that younger Rashmi about business?
Yeah. Start early. Try whatever you want to try early, and if you're failing, fail early, so that you always have this our business or our idea might fail with the a business person in us.
Mm.
Okay. Or that thing, you have to put it to test early. Okay. And then if you're making any mistakes, make it early, correct it, rectify it, and come back like a phoenix, like
Mm.
come back with very good form and then start flying. So that's what I would do.
I agree because the more number of years you spend doing working on a business and building a venture, I think you realize the importance of time. and how important it is to start early and not wait for that perfect product or the perfect idea or the MVP to come along and then only get into it, because you're bound to fail. There will be failures. So I think, yeah, fail early, fail small if you have to fail. And instead of delaying your thing, because I think in retrospect, when people look back at the things they did not do or did do, I think you regret most the things that you did not do or you did late. And then you're like, so whether it is financial planning, no, I look back at my life and I'm like, okay, why did I not do this 20 years back? Why am I doing it now? So you suddenly realize the importance of time on everything, whether it is, multiplying wealth for you or for creating a business. I mean, how wonderful would it have been if you had started your journey not at no this age today, but maybe 5 years earlier or 10 years earlier?
Yeah.
You would have been 10 years ahead,
Yes.
than what one is today. So I think we should never look for or wait for that perfect moment or the perfect idea to crop into our heads and then start doing something. So perfectionism and all, I absolutely don't believe in all that. I think time is of essence, and you must start, keep failing, keep pivoting, keep learning. All of that will happen, and yeah. So don't wait for your first product. Like they say, to somebody who is an aspiring writer, your
Mhm.
first draft doesn't have to be perfect. It only has to be written.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Rashmi, it was so wonderful talking to you. You've been such a role model. I'm sure you have a son, right? You have a son.
Yes.
You are such a great role model to your son. I'm sure your parents are so, amazingly proud of the person that you've become, and are every day moving towards becoming. But on a larger scale, I think you inspire a host of women who are trying to do things differently, who are trying to make their mark. What parting words would you have for somebody who's listening to you at, and these could be people at different life stages. Somebody could be a college student or maybe a young professional. Somebody could be in a difficult relationship. Somebody could be probably at crossroads where you're trying to make a transition from one life phase to another or one career to another. There could be people of different ages and stages who are watching you share your story. What are certain universal advice, pieces of advice that you can give to uh, those people?
Okay, first thing is you are only responsible for your happiness. No one will ever bring that to you. And if you're trying to impress somebody, like, be aware that, that person is trying to impress someone else. So, to all the women who are watching this or listening this, I say that, take that step towards your dream, whatever you want to do. And when you desire something so strongly, the whole universe comes to you in different ways to support you to achieve that. And also on my business front, if you have the grit, determination, hunger to succeed, and with an interest in real estate, do join Wire International. We have a community on our social media platforms, which I might be sharing those to you soon. And then, yeah, and thank you, Richa. I'm very grateful for this opportunity you created with such a noble intention of spreading our learnings and then inspiring others, motivating others, right? And also giving me a chance to voice out my story. And all the very best for She Wealth and She Talks.
Thank you so much, and all the best of all good wishes your way for all the great things that you're doing and will continue to do in future. Thank you, Rashmi.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. Bye.